Hello, my name is Ilona, and in this video about shadow work, I'd like to talk about feeling responsible for other people. And when I'm talking about other people, I'm talking about other adults. So I'm not talking, for instance, about children. If you have young children and of course you are the parent, you are responsible for those children until they are old enough and mature enough to handle their way. And so this is really about feeling responsible for other people. I know from my own experience that I have this side in me, this pleaser side. I've been working through this, so I'm getting better at this. But I've also noticed in readings I do for people that there are a lot of people still dealing with this. If you're interested, by the way, in consultation with me or reading with me, I have readings from 20 minutes, from 30 minutes, and 45 minutes. I usually do this, especially people in other countries, through Telegram or maybe even Facebook. Depends on if someone has an account. WhatsApp is also a possibility. If you're interested, you can find information on my website, www.warekracht.nl. And it's also in English, and you could also send me an email, warekracht at proton, so that's proton.com. com. I will leave this in the description with this video as well, this information. So it's very important to realize this is a coping mechanism. When you grow up in dysfunctional families, and of course you have all kinds of degrees in dysfunction, but if you felt like you weren't important enough, your parents really didn't pay much attention to you, or what you needed wasn't important, or they were just really how do you say this? They were really raising you, of course, in a way that they thought was suitable. But a lot of dysfunctional people, they have no idea how to raise children, so they will raise them in the same patterns as what they are used to. So a lot of patterns where people were neglected as children, emotionally neglected, and the parents weren't really paying any attention to their children. They will grow up with this idea, not everyone, but this is a coping mechanism, that they have to please their parents. They have to work really hard to get some love or to get some attention, and they will keep this pattern throughout their adulthood. Most of the time they're not even aware that that's what they're doing. So when they grow up and they have this feeling that they are not important, their needs are not that important, and they need to be needed, so they need to make themselves necessary. So they have this tendency, especially women, but there are also men, to really do a lot for other people. So they're always giving away their energy. They're always trying to help people. It's possible in family situations that they're always, helping out their mother or their father. And of course, there's nothing wrong with helping out your mother and father. But if there is this toxic dependency on you, and your mother or your father, for instance, completely depends on you to make them feel better, so you have to do this and you have to do that. If they manipulate you in this guilt that you have to do that, otherwise you're not grateful, that's not a healthy situation. Adults means that everyone is mature enough to handle their own lives. So when people in family, or maybe even in your jobs, or a partner, your partner, usually if you have this mechanism, you will attract people around you, like partners, that will let everything on you put everything on your shoulder, like you are responsible for everything. So you will draw in people, especially when you're used to a mother or a father that's not taking their responsibility. You will pull in people and attract people that are not taking their responsibility either, and you are taking that responsibility. I even got a card that I just wanted to show what this looks like. The 10 of Wands is very suitable for people that take on responsibilities from others all the time. Like, they are responsible for their feelings, they are responsible for the harmony, they are responsible for all kinds of things, maybe grocery shoppings or things that need to be done, they feel responsible for, and they don't even know where they're going, and it's just exhausting. And usually these people are very, very exhausted, but they're doing this out of a feeling from guilt, or just that they need to do it. Sometimes they're not even aware that they're doing it. They just feel like, oh, someone calls, oh, they need to do that, they need to step into that. So they take responsibility for others. And like I've mentioned, it could be very extreme, that they'll think that even people they don't know, that they will feel responsible. Oh, I can't say this to a certain person, so something happens in a queue in the supermarket. Oh, I can't say anything, then that person will think I'm a horrible person. It's just so extreme, this can be, that you almost feel responsible for everyone around you. Of course, you have all these degrees in that, but it's very important to understand when you're doing this, that ultimately you are trying to get that attention from your parents that you didn't get when you were younger. You are still trying to get that approval, that support, that understanding. So you really keep yourself in this mechanism, this pattern that is exhausting. Burnouts are usually a sign that you're taking on way too much responsibility. And like I said, you will attract people that will take advantage of them, especially people that don't want to take any responsibility. They will be drawn to you because you'll be the one taking the responsibility, so they don't have to do that. So just look at your life. If you're always exhausted, you're always running behind other people, then this is most likely a coping mechanism for you to feel like you are important. And when you want to step out of this, you have to understand that this is going to create a lot of resistance, especially when people are used to you. If they call you, you immediately jump into your car, you immediately do everything they want you to do. It's very important to understand when you really are like, okay, I need to start taking care of myself. I need to take responsibility of myself. That there's going to be resistance. They will not like it, of course, if they're used to, maybe your mother is used to you doing everything and then suddenly you're saying no. That's going to be quite shocking for people around you, or your partner, or people at work. For instance, a colleague asks you all the time to do things and you're like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I need to work on myself first. You're going to get a reaction. But the most important thing is that you look inside and see how you're going to react. Do you feel guilt? Do you feel pain? Do you feel sadness? It's so important that you feel through that, and that you open yourself for that you don't hide away from it, because otherwise you're going to leave this pattern intact. The fact that you carry guilt, pain, maybe this feeling that you need to be necessary, how do you say that people will, that they, how do you say this? They're dependent on you, that will make you feel important, or that you finally need it. Things like that. It's very important. If you want to change this, you have to feel through all those things that will come up, so you can really put boundaries down. What you're doing then is starting to take responsibility for yourself, because ultimately you are only responsible for yourself. You are not responsible for another adult, mature person. Whether they are mature, that's doubtful, but they are adult. So they should take care of their lives. They should find their ways in how to deal with it. They cannot completely depend on you for that. And it's up to you to feel through the things that will come up. Maybe you feel very guilty. Maybe you feel horrible. It's very possible that if you start finally, saying no to people, that you feel horrible. Oh, I'm this horrible person. I'm supposed to be doing this. You have to feel through that, because that's the mechanism how other people can manipulate you. So it's not going to be easy. Feel through that. Feel the pain. Feel the anger maybe that even can come out. And when you're working your way through that, and I know from my own experience, it has to do with all kinds of coping mechanisms. You can feel through that, and ultimately you will get to the bottom of things, will be the child or the older energy. It's depending on how you look at it. but you will, how to say this, reach this bottom, so to speak, that will feel like, so I'm not going to get the attention that I want, because obviously this coping mechanism is so you can feel safe, or, you know, if I keep everyone happy, if I keep my mother happy, my father happy, my family happy, my partner happy, I'm going to be fine. And then you're going to realize that you're not fine, first of all. And you're going to realize that it's really the child in you, or that older energy, that's trying to fix things and trying to get that attention from your parents, from you know, that understanding, that love. And then you're going to realize, I'm not going to get it outside of myself. And that's going to be very tough to handle. It's going to feel very empty, because, you know, this inside, you can call it your inner child, been looking for that, you know, with partners, with work, with any situation, is trying to get that that attention, finally that love, finally that recognition, finally the approval. And they're finally like, oh, I'm not going to get it outside of myself. That can feel very, very empty. And you will have to feel through that as well. Because then you're going to realize that you're the adult. You can give this to yourself. You can give love to yourself. You can give respect to yourself. And first you'll be like, it feels very strange, because you're so, how to say this, looking outside of yourself, and so hoping deep down inside that you're finally going to get this from your parents. You're not going to get this at all from anyone. This is something you can give to yourself. And when you really turn that around, you are taking responsibility for yourself. And that is so important, because then you are not dependent on people outside of yourself to give you approval, to give you love, to give you understanding. You will give it to yourself. That will change your energy completely. And then you will see how people are going to respond. Some people will change their way they've been treating you, and some people you'll move away from them because they are not capable of changing, and you're not going to open your energy for that kind of behavior anymore. And by changing your energy, you're going to attract people that will be respectful to you as well, that will be loving to you as well, understanding you, because you will have that in your energy, because you're giving it to yourself. You will finally really truly become an adult in a way, mature in a way, responsible for yourself. And then you'll realize that each and every one of us is responsible for themselves. You are not responsible for the how someone else feels. They are responsible for that. And it's very important to understand that and take responsibility for yourself. And I'd like to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.